Shabbat Shalom from Bet Shemesh. My name is Noach Abramowitz. I am a soldier in the IDF. I'm currently in basic training in Machane Shmonim, which is near Kesaria. This week's parsha is Ki Tetzeh, and what we see in Parashat Ki Tetzeh is this theme of mitzvot, which seem to have a lot of sense to them. Mitzvot like being allowed to eat what you want when you're in another Jew's vineyard. When you're working for another Jew's vineyard and you get hungry, you're allowed to eat what you need because it's unethical to have a man, walking and doing all this work and seeing all these beautiful juicy grapes in front of him. It'll make him weak. He won't be able to function as well, and he needs to be able to eat and enjoy. So it's ethical to give him this. You're able to understand certain of the laws which are given in this parsha, like making sure that you have a spade to dig a latrine when you're outside in the army, to make sure that the camp is holy, that a person should be able to go to his wife for a year before he's called back to the army, and things like that. But what you look at in the parsha is it talks about this idea of lo te'ev adomi ki achichahu, lo te'ev mitzri ki ge'arita be'artzo. That the Edomites, we shouldn't be upset with them, and we shouldn't be disgusted by them. And according to Targum Onkelos, it says we shouldn't push them away. Probably either in terms of conversion or in terms of people. We shouldn't push them away because the Edomites are our brothers, and we shouldn't be upset or disgusted by a Mitzri kiger hayita be'artzo. You were a stranger in his land, and that's the confusing part of the parsha. So if you look at this, there's something so hard to see. It's like, what do you mean? I shouldn't be mad at a Mitzri. I shouldn't be disgusted by a Mitzri and by the Mitzri people because I was a stranger in their land. I was a stranger in their land, and they let me stay there. Rashi says they let you stay there when it was a shot dechak, when we needed it. And Rashi says even though those 200 years that you lived with them were full of them throwing your babies into the river and them whipping you and beating you and working you hard, you should still have a sense of Hakotel. I don't understand. I pashut don't understand. What do you mean I should have Hakotel to somebody who treated me awfully? I mean, let's be honest. For example, like, should the black community in America suddenly be grateful to all the slave owners of the 1860s and before who, hey, bro, they gave you a place to stay. They gave you food. Well, I mean, what they gave you, and they gave you a place to stay and things like, yeah, but they also beat me senseless. And I don't know who saw the movie 12 Years a Slave, but it was not nice. And you're gonna go tell people like that, be grateful to them, they done you good. I think that what the Torah is trying to teach us is not just some stama message of, oh, they let you stay somewhere. Nah, that's not what it is. It's that if a Mitzri comes up to you, you shouldn't be disgusted by this human being. You shouldn't look at him and say, Ichs, what filth. This guy, his ancestors, beat mine senseless, and they did this and that and the other thing. You need to look at the positive. What's the positive? Is Ger Hayita Be'artzo. Is that hundreds of years before, they did in fact. Pharaoh said to Yaakov Avinu and to his children, "You're allowed to stay here on my land." And at that point, who knows what Pharaoh's intentions were, but he did right. He did what was good. And you need to remember that in those moments, he did what was right. And the intentions were that we should be able to have a place to stay. B'shat hadchak. Now, what does that mean for us? Is you need to be able to filter out the good from the surface. So you're not going to be able to see the good that a person's done you on the surface. There's a classic story in every Jewish community. In Yemen, it's told one way. In other stories, it's told other ways. But Yosela the Holy Miser, or I forgot how the Yemenite version goes, of this Yid who every single person who comes to him comes up to the door, knocks on the door, and begs him. He's the last stop for every beggar, because only if it's your last resort do you go to Yosela the Miser. And Yosela the Miser takes you in and says, "What can I do for you?" He sits you down at his table and gives you a cup of tea, and you tell him, and he's like, "Okay, and how many children do you have? What are your expenses on the week? This, and the other thing." And then at the end he says, "And what do you want me to do about all this?" And you're expecting him to give, and you ask him for a donation, and he kicks you out of the house. And then years later, when Yosela died, suddenly the Rebbe got knocks on his door over and over and over again, saying, I used to get an envelope on Erev Shabbos of everything I needed for that week. And, you know, they'd buried Yosela outside the cemetery, and they realized that he was the source of all the good that had been happening. I've seen the grave of Yosela the miser. The story is very real to me. But it's a scary thing, when you look at a yid or another person and you just don't see the good. You see, oh, he was a jerk, he was a scoundrel, he was this, that, and the other thing. Ger hayita beretzo. If at any point a person opened the door for you, and even if it was, not with the biggest smile, who knows what his intentions were? Who knows what his reasons were? We don't know why Pharaoh let our ancestors stay in Egypt in the beginning. And Coach Baruch was saying it doesn't matter what the reason was. They did you a favor, and you need to be grateful for that. Every leader who's here, every leader who's watching this video in any community, needs to realize that every member of their community, every person that they're going to be leading, is not 100% wrong, not 100% bad, not 100% anything. There's something good to be found, even in the Mitzri who beat you for 210 years. But who knows if his ancestor offered a home or offered a plot of land to your ancestor. And for that, you need to be grateful. So hopefully we'll be able to see the good in every single other person, look beyond the surface, and look back beyond the past, and look deeper and deeper, and be able to see something geschmack in every single person that we are contributing to, every single person that we're trying to inspire. Please God. Shabbat Shalom. Hope everything's great.